Hello, my beautiful, fantastic, wonderful friends. I'm so happy to have you guys here today because today is our first video into this witchy, wonderfully life of October. I know we're not yet in October, but I figured we would start out right now with a day in a witch's life. So I don't consider myself a witch. I would consider myself a green witch, which is somebody who, and this is something I've just learned, so it's not even something I've researched a lot, it's just something I've learned over the last couple weeks and something I think I connect to very well. A green witch is somebody who is more herbalistic, somebody who really likes greenery, nature, just being out in nature and loving nature. It's not connected to religion, it's not connected to what job you have, it's just the fact that you are part of nature and want to experience nature and be around nature. And I would consider myself somebody who really loves to be in nature and just gardening and everything fun around flowers and plants and herbs and just vegetables. And I have my kumquat tree and my lemon tree here as well. So I would consider myself somebody who would be more in the green witch realm. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing more today. So today is going to be about experiencing the more relaxed, slow living life of a green witch. So we're going to have a lovely morning routine, and then we'll go into making our broomstick, our witch's broomstick, to go out and enjoy the woods a little bit with that. I went ahead and collected a few things last week in my last week's video, and it was just a bunch of twigs, so broken twigs that fell from trees, so that way we could go ahead and make the bottom of the broomstick, and then a long stick that was taller than me to make the handle of the broomstick. And then I bought some twine as well just to wrap it around so we can make it really tight and make it really sturdy. And that's all I used for the broomstick. So twigs, also like dried oregano or dry weeds and stuff like that. Twigs, dried weeds, a long stick for the actual handle, and then some twine to tie it all together. We'll go ahead and make our broomstick together today, and then go out and enjoy the woods, be part of nature and be part of the wilderness with our broomstick, and just wandering through trying to identify plants and all the wonderful things that are out there. So I'm really excited to have you guys here today. I hope you're going to enjoy today's video, and let's go ahead and get started with a day in a green witch's life. The first part of the morning for a green witch consists of meditation, a little yoga, and making sure you get that fresh air in your lungs and really enjoying that morning brisk air. So what I did this morning was just putting out my yoga mat, doing a quick meditation for about 10 to 15 minutes just to really enjoy the morning, feel the crisp new air in my lungs, and enjoying just the smells of the earth around me. After a little bit of meditation, I'll go ahead and do some wrist exercises as I work at a laptop most of my day. I'll do some cat-cow to stretch out my back, a little bit of downward dog, and ending with child's pose, as it's my favorite pose to stretch out my shoulders and my lower back as well. After some yoga, I'll go ahead and make myself one of my favorite teas, one of my favorite herbal teas. It consists of about 4 to 5 fresh sage leaves. Sage is a really amazing herb for when you're having a little bit of anxiety. I use it when I'm having a bit more anxiety than usual. And I just pop a couple fresh sage leaves off my sage tree, drop them into my teacup, add some fresh hot water just to make sure the sage leaves extract a lot of their flavor. And I'm somebody who likes a sweet tea, so I add a little bit of honey just to add a little bit of sweetness. Also, one of the things I've learned recently is by adding a little bit of sweetness to your cup of tea or coffee in the morning, brings sweetness into the rest of your day. So that's definitely a mantra I've been really loving lately. One of the best ways to embrace the slow living lifestyle, or a little bit of a relaxing lifestyle, or in this situation, the green witch lifestyle, is just making sure you take a moment for yourself and enjoy the nice richness of your life, of the air, of the tea you're drinking or coffee, and just taking a moment for yourself with no worries, no stress, no anxieties of what's going to come in that day, but just enjoying the nature around you, the fresh smells, the sounds of the birds, and if you have a fluffy little animal around you, enjoying the cute little pets. For me, I'm normally a coffee drinker in the morning, so if you do drink coffee, go for it. Just make sure you take a moment for yourself, and if you need a little nap, turn into a cat and have a little snooze. But before we can sleep for too long, we're actually going to be moving on to our broomstick. So we're gonna clean up, get ready, put on an adorable apron. It's not just going to be stylish and perfect for this activity, but also protect our clothing from any sticks or pokey sticks, sawdust, or anything else we're gonna be messing around with. As I had mentioned already, I went foraging for some twigs and sticks last week in the forest and found a great big bundle from different trees. I also found this great big long stick that we're going to be using as the broom handle. However, we're going to want to take all of these little tiny sticks, little pokey things off of here so that way they don't scratch our legs, our hands, or anything else. So to get rid of any of these knobs or sticks, we're going to grab a pair of gardening shears and just chop up any of these long sticks or anything that's poking your hands. For any smaller sticks, you can go ahead and grab yourself a knife. Make sure you're pointing it away from you and just cut off any extra sticks that are on there that are easy to pop off. Next, we'll go ahead and grab some sandpaper and just sand on the stick. Make sure you're wearing some protective eye gear and a mask to protect your lungs and your breathing, and clean up all of the moss or sticks until it's nice and smooth. Now for the fun part. We're going to be adding our twigs to the end of our stick. I'm using a side that's a little bit thicker so that way the thinner side I can hold on to, the thicker side is going to have all my branches and twigs. I'm going to be using some twine to tie these twigs really tightly onto my stick. So I'm using just long lengths of twine, about a meter or a yard long at a time, so that way I can go ahead and wrap it around each of these twigs. And securing with a tight knot just sometimes to make sure that each of the twigs are really tight and secure onto here. If you're noticing a little gap, you can just shove another twig in there just to kind of make your string a little bit tighter. And I'm going to keep adding twigs, keep adding string, and at every 2 or 3 twigs I go ahead and wrap my string around them, just making sure that each one of those twigs is touching the string so that way it's really tight and really firm. After I finish my one string, I'll tie it off, add another string, and keep adding twigs and twisting my broom as I'm adding twigs. I'm actually using a sawhorse to help balance my broom up so that way I can do a nice turning and twisting and tying all at the same time. So if you have sawhorses around, I highly recommend this. It helped a lot for me to make sure I'm at a good level, not hurting my back, and making sure I'm tying my string really tightly all around as well. I went ahead and did a trick that I saw in like a show that was about survival, I believe. So I went and tied a small little stick underneath one of my strings, and I kept twisting it like a tourniquet so that way it would get really, really tight and get stuck, so that way all of my string and all of my sticks would be really tight against my broomstick. Now we're going to go ahead and trim back some of these twigs. Some of them are super long and we don't need them all that long. We want to have a nice form to our broomstick. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to make sure it's pretty. And I'm just going to add any of those sticks I cut off to the middle of my broomstick to cover that middle part of my main stick up. I've added some dry oregano because we had some that we didn't process prior, so I'm adding that as a nice smell to my broomstick, and any other dried twigs and leaves I'm finding. We had some old flowers too that were drying out on our balcony, so I went ahead and just chopped those off to add a nice little yellow to my broomstick. And now it's time to add a nice decorative string. For me, it wasn't about being decorative, it was more about making sure that my broomstick was really sturdy and all of those twigs were going to stay on there. So I went ahead and made a second tourniquet for my twigs, just as a starter tourniquet, so that way all of those twigs were really tight against my broomstick. And I kept twisting it until I couldn't twist it anymore, and just tucked it into some of those twigs. And then I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping my string around my broom. As I was doing it while it was laying down, I realized it was actually really difficult, so I turned it and stood it up on its end instead. So that way I can just twist the broomstick and just keep wrapping the string. I had the string in my pocket in my apron and just kept twisting it until I thought I had a good couple inches of string to look nice but also be really sturdy for my broomstick. And I tied it off, cut off any excess twigs that were really long at the end of my broomstick to make sure they weren't poking me. This one had a cute little pine cone, so I decided to keep at least one stick to have a little bit of a decoration, just because I thought it was cute. I went ahead and cleaned up some other sticks, and my broomstick is done. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I love the wilderness, the wildness of it, and I think it's perfect for my witchy October adventure. A couple other things I think would be perfect for a very slow green witchery day is grabbing yourself that wonderful sage tea we made this morning, a lovely book that you enjoy, like that you have enjoyed, or maybe that you're looking forward to reading, a very fluffy, comfortable blanket, and sitting outside when it's a little bit cooler outside just to get that fresh air and enjoy something that's really going to bring you some peace and some relaxation. I think that's one of the things I've been really wanting to do and trying to implement into my daily life, is making sure I'm enjoying that crisp morning air that kind of cleans the lungs, makes everything fresh, and makes you feel nice and awake. And then so when you go inside and cuddle up to that blanket, then you're just all warm and cozy and perfect for the day. Next week I'll be sharing a couple books that I highly recommend that have the witchy vibes. We're going to be focusing on some very witchy feels this October, so we're going to be focused on which books next week, so I'll be going ahead and sharing some of the books I've read, some of the books I'm looking forward to reading, and also some that kind of give you recommendations on how to implement some green witch life habits in your life. Some other activities I think would be perfect for a relaxing witchy day is baking something delicious, baking something that maybe you wouldn't bake normally, that add that witchy vibe. So adding some black ink to some of your dough, or making some hand pies that are a little bit creepy looking, kind of making them a little bit more Halloween-y or cauldron-y. So if you have the opportunity to make something, make it a little bit darker. I'm not saying witches are all dark, but I'm saying to add that like witchy, spooky, atmospheric vibe. Having a little bit of black food coloring to your food is perfect. A natural black food coloring is squid ink, so if you're looking at doing a natural food color, I would recommend using squid ink, but be careful because it can be quite salty. And of course, making sure you go out and enjoy the woods just for a nice, lovely walk is always a great way. Going on a beautiful fall hike, making sure you enjoy those beautiful fall colors. Because this season has a lot of decay in it, this decay is actually very beautiful. So all of our leaves are turning colors and falling from the trees, finding those beautiful leaves and really recognizing them for their beauty, even though they're changing so much. And then also seeing how your woods are changing, how your mushrooms, the different types of mushrooms are coming in and going, and just enjoying that change of life, the change of nature around you. And that's one of the things I really enjoy during the season, is making sure I get outside, just look at all of the things that have changed, and just enjoying the smells of earth and just having fun. With all of that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take you for a walk through the woods and end our day just enjoying the changes of nature. So with that said, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, enjoy this wander, and I will go ahead and see you guys at the end of the video. As the sun goes down and as the moon comes up, I want to thank you all for joining me on this very special day as we celebrated the Green Witch and introduced her ways into our life. And thank you for being part of my life and this video.